Hi, I'm Margie Abbott, and I'm excited today to have Alicia Lucy with me. We became buddies because I was helping her with her homeschool kids and found out she had a YouTube channel
Mhm.
and that she helped homeschoolers in a different way than I help homeschoolers. And so I'm excited she's going to get to explain to us how she got started and how she's helping homeschoolers.
Thank you, Margie.
Well,
So the way our channel started was actually kind of a sad story. So my husband and I were away on our 10-year wedding anniversary, and my younger brother, the one closest to me, suddenly passed away. And when we came back, I just kind of had this emptiness in me, but also like as we were started looking around all the pictures and things, we never could find a picture of just my brother and me ever. We were always in a group, and we were the two that like didn't like pictures. And so I was like, I want to capture more memories of my kids to be able to remember them and then have pictures and videos with their siblings and with their dad and me. So we started like looking into like doing more video. Then one day I'm looking at homeschooling, and all the advice I was getting at the time was either school is done like just exactly like a classroom, or your kids are completely free range and you never use anything to teach your kids other than they go outside and play, which there's somewhere in a balance in there. And I think we kind of met that balance, but I was looking more and more and I'm like, nobody is homeschooling the way we do. And my husband was like, why don't you do it then? Why don't you be that influence then? And I was like, I don't think I'm ready like right now to do that. And he's like, well, when are you going to do it? So like he's my wonderful like nudge to do things. So we started doing it. We started filming we would do 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I just started sharing. The first video we ever made was a tour of our homeschool room, which we no longer have a homeschool room, but that's a whole nother story. It was a tour of our homeschool room. And then from there, we would get questions on YouTube or questions in person of like, okay, well, there's the homeschool aspect, but how do you tie in like family meals with that? Because you say you cook most everything from scratch. How do you balance making meals and homeschooling? Because at that point we had a foster son who was 2. My youngest was 4 and starting like the pre-K, and she wanted to do like all the school stuff like the big sisters were. Now she's my 13-year-old in 10th grade. I had a 6-year-old who was learning to read and write. I had an 8-year-old who was starting to become independent, but they all still kind of needed mom for everything. So they were like, well, how do you balance all this? So then we started showing like videos of like how I kept up with laundry while doing school, or easy meals that we would do that we could just throw in the oven or a crock pot or a roaster pan so that we could have a homemade meal that night and not be eating out every night. And then from there, it just slowly grew and grew over time. And then eventually we changed the name to include Adventure, because when my foster son went back to his mother, my grandmother surprised us with a Disney land and sea vacation. And then from there, it was like, we could make this travel thing work with our homeschool. We changed the channel name to This Homeschooling Adventure, and we've been doing about 5 to 6 videos a week ever since.
wow, that is fun. So tell me some of the places you've been, how you've seen that benefit other families to watch those videos.
So some of our favorite places we've been, like I said, we've been to Disney's. We've been to the Bahamas. We just came back from a 16-day road trip. In 16 days, we went to 2 countries, 5 states, 17 cities, and 48 places. And it's really just mind-blowing. Even when we got back, we're like, I can't believe we did all of that. One of my favorite places here in the U.S. probably is one that we just came back from. It's called Mackinac Island, and I've got some of the stuff from our trip on there. So there is actually an original, like, Revolutionary War fort on the island, and for the first time as a family, we were able to go and explore that fort and actually see a reenactment of some of the battles and stuff that happened. On the island, there's this place called Arch Rock where you're just looking over Lake Michigan. It's either Lake Michigan or Lake Huron, and it's a beautiful place. Another place we went was a German town in, there are a lot of German towns in Michigan. We spent most of our time on that trip in Michigan. But yeah, little like German towns. We went and had like an authentic German meal at one of the restaurants. More local to Tennessee, some of my favorite has been, there is a waterfall called, I think, Grotto Falls in the Smokies, and it's the only waterfall in the Smokies you can walk behind. And we were able to go and do that. The Knoxville area, in the summer in July, there is a huge field covered in sunflowers. And that's also become one of our favorite places. Every year I try to update it and show, because like this year's my first year with all high school kids. We do what's called a travel schooling bag. So as we travel, we usually are doing some school on the road as we go. But another thing we do specifically for other people, like as we travel, is my youngest, my 13-year-old, loves working with special needs kids. And she will find like specific videos that we'll take the extra time to film and upload, because some of our friends with special needs kids, their kids will sit and watch those videos. So one time we went to Zoo Knoxville in the Knoxville area, and they have redone their reptiles and amphibian exhibit. As part of it, on the inside in the area where it's like you're walking into a rainforest, there's like a sloth that can free range within reason. There's alligators, but there's this aquarium. And she's like, Mom, I want you to just lean your phone up here and let it just film for 10 minutes. And one of our special needs moms that we talked with was like, thank you for uploading that, because my kids sat and watched that video and really enjoyed it. And the other thing, like not really homeschooling related, but like family related, is we've noticed with like one of my kids works with widows. Like she goes and helps clean houses for widows. And sometimes some of those older people who can't get out and travel anymore, like they follow along with us on our adventures, because it's like they're living it through us. And they love watching along with us as we go on those adventures.
Nice. Well, I expect I'll be enjoying watching more and more of them too, because I typically go visit family on my adventure because we've always lived out of state. But what a neat thing to be able to travel and do that. And you said 2 countries? What 2 countries did you?
We recently did our first international trip. We went to Ontario, Canada. So
Yes.
the funny thing about that is we were traveling with my mother-in-law, who since my father-in-law suddenly passed away the week before Christmas in 2023, she has an emotional support dog, and it's like a cross between a Chihuahua and a Corgi. So she's like 4 pounds, and I post tons of pictures of her on my Instagram page, or our This Homeschooling Adventure Instagram page, because she's adorable and she loves being cuddled. But because we were traveling with an emotional support dog, the rules in the United States are kind of weird right now. But in Canada, we were able to find a hotel at a place where it was the only time the whole trip that we needed a hotel stay, because we were like 6 hours from our host family, and the hotel was like an hour from where we were going to be the next morning. So we went up the Upper Peninsula, we went to a waterfall and a museum, and then we went and stayed over there. But it was like $100 cheaper, and they were going to waive the pet fee because she was an emotional support animal. So we could either spend $100 more and stay on the U.S. side, or we could finally get our passports we've been wanting for a long time. We already had plans to use them again after we got them, and go ahead and stay over in Ontario. So we actually drove across the International Bridge in the Sault Ste. Marie, stayed the night in Ontario, overlooking the Soo Locks, which, for anybody that doesn't know what that is, it's the northern equivalent of the Panama Canal. And so for $20 extra, Matt and I paid for a room. The day 2 one was a funny one, because my kids wanted to go and do farm life. Like, we're on this big bucket list trip, but we're staying on a farm in Michigan. So the thing they wanted to do most of the trip was go out and do farm chores. And that's my kids. And I loved it. I loved that they wanted to do that. And then like they started
That's
like
neat.
keeping an egg count every day. It was cool, because when we first checked into the hotel, we literally just checked right into our room, and you could look out the window and watch the ships come in and out of the Soo Locks and go under the International
Wow,
Bridge.
that would be fun. So do you talk about places to stay that are more economic, know where to stay? And I noticed you mentioned having a host family, and that tell me about how you do that and how you work that out.
So, host family is anytime somebody allows us to go and stay with them or at their property. I have a host family who allows us to stay on their property in West Knoxville, and in exchange, we watch their dog for them. And that was actually what the second half of the trip was we were actually staying at a host family's house, and then all we were doing was watching this cute, adorable puggle. She's a pug and beagle mix. And that was all we did. Also, that gave us access to like a swimming pool to go swim at. We had Disney Plus access. We could cook our own meals there. And so we did that. And then in Michigan, our host family was actually like one of my husband's uncles and aunts, and they own a over 100-year-old farmhouse in Michigan. And so we stayed with them in their farmhouse.
Nice. So most of these are people you already knew, or is there some kind of network for being able to find host families, or maybe even using YouTube channels if you've got it that are in different places that might give you that opportunity? How do you connect with those people?
So there are other YouTube families who we've connected with that have offered to allow us to stay with them in other states. It's just in 2020 our budget, just and the whole travel industry getting shut down, our budget kind of like stopped for travel funds. But up to that point, sometimes we would just exchange work with people. We have stayed with some people that like we try to know the people ahead of time just for our safety. And then while we're traveling,
Absolutely.
we usually don't share like specific location where we are, but we'll contact people ahead of time and be like, hey, do you want to work together? But a lot of times, like I said, it's been family. We've had family offer to host us in like New York, Texas, Mississippi. So sometimes family comes in together, but then there are actually websites, and we haven't tried these out yet because we just now got the passports, but there are actually websites where this company matches families and you go to their country and stay at their house and they come to your country and stay at your house. It's one of those, like, what happens if they steal something? They're not going to steal something from you because they don't want you to steal something from them. And if something goes wrong, there's a company in the middle that deals with the middle ground. But there are
Mhm.
actually websites where you can go and do that. It took us getting to actually go and get the passports before we started looking into actually us getting to do that.
Mhm. Well, it definitely seems like, especially in the homeschool community, that we could definitely be a blessing to each other. But, we have always had a guest room in our house. We used to laugh even when we had 6 kids in the house. We could probably bed down 6 or 8 people somewhere else,
Right.
with futon beds and air bed, because we always love having guests. And so it does seem like that would be a way to give families a more affordable vacation if we could figure out some way to work together. But definitely being able to see it on your videos is really good. So, what else have you done on your YouTube channel?
So we tell people that what we do is in our name, the This Homeschooling Adventure. The This is like we share everyday life. We do share like tips on how to make meals easier around the house, how to keep the house clean while you're homeschooling. I literally had some days when I had a first and third grader that my preschooler would be like, Mom, I'm bored. And I'm like, okay, here's a basket of odd socks. Go fold them. And we recorded doing that. And that kind of helped inspire other people. We talk about like honest reviews of like all the curriculum that we use, which some of it would not be considered curriculum. Some things we have branched out and done on our own. So one of the things that we have done is like movies as literature as my kids progress. Like this year I have 2 that chose to do biography. So I ended up having to make my own PDF of what movies are they doing and a tracking system to say, have they finished this movie? So the homeschooling, we also share like those resources, and then our members can access those. Like if we have a paid membership that helps us allow us to keep doing the videos because it does cost to produce the videos. But like our paid members have access to all of those PDFs, and then sometimes we do the PDFs for free. We wrote our own health curriculum, which thank you so very much for that, because like I was on the fence about doing that, you guys, and I contacted Margie and I'm like, I can't do this. And Margie's like, yes, you can. And so I wrote out my own
Mhm.
health curriculum that met like what I wanted health curriculum to be for 14 age girls, because I have all girls right now. And the adventure is we try to share like affordable adventures. We share at home adventures. During 2020, my kids figured out that if we moved the furniture in a specific way, they could fit a 4-person tent in the middle of my living room. And I've shared that as like an at home adventure thing that you could do with your family, was like set up a tent or like a pillow fort or something and do those. We also share like within our own or our own state, within the southern area of the United States, because our anchor state right now is Tennessee. But we also branch out. We've been to a total of 11 different states now, and we're hoping to do more. This trip we ended, like I said, I think we did 5 to 7. But yeah, that's kind of like how it goes. It's like this is the everyday life. The homeschooling is just the homeschooling content. And I do put that separate because some people will follow us and they want to support us, but they may not be homeschooling themselves. So I like to keep the homeschooling separate. And
Mhm.
for like some of the homeschooling moms, they may not have time to watch like a 30-minute video where I'm cooking and homeschooling. They may just want like the homeschooling help. And then the adventures,
Mhm.
of course, are separate as well.
Nice. Well, it does sound like it's a good adventure that you're giving families, and we always want to empower our families to be able to really enjoy this journey and be set free to homeschool. That's kind of my
Yeah.
theme song, is that, to be set free to do it the way it works for your family. And I'm really
Mhm.
glad you were able to get out of the box and decide, okay, I'm going to do this and share, even and during this really crucial time right now, as so many people are making the choice to homeschool, and we have that public school mindset that to realize it
Mhm.
doesn't have to be like that. So thank you for talking with me today. I've
You're
really
welcome.
enjoyed hearing your story. You have a blessed day.
You too.